everybody who we're speaking to has either made a journey in their career, a career change, or they are intrinsically involved in empowering women in the marketplace. Obviously, that's why I was drawn to begging you to come and do this. So I won't do you a disservice. I will let you quickly give us an intro, who the wonderful Jodi is, what you do, and go.
I am Jodi, a personal impact specialist, and I focus on helping empowering women to step up, stand out, and shine within their careers and lives by developing magnetic confidence, a powerful personal brand, and assertive communication skills so that they can own the room and...
Yes. Magnetic confidence. I've never heard that term before. You absolutely come out with absolutely brilliant things.
I see so many women, and it's something that actually I was aware of even from quite a young age. Like even when I was in my very early 20s, late teens, I remember saying to my mom, I'm going to help women to be more confident, even though I wasn't actually the most overtly confident person in the world. I've always been able to look at a woman and see her power if she would just get out of her own freaking way. Like I can just see it. And I really have felt so strongly about helping women to leverage the greatest power that they have, which is themselves, and to kind of remove a lot of the things that we taught or not taught as we're growing up, the messages that we receive, being true to ourselves, finding our own inner strength, and not being so reliant on like what's happening around us in order to feel good or to feel confident or to feel worthy, but to find that from within us, so that we can stop holding ourselves back. And the other part of it, which now that I'm older than in my early 20s, and now that I actually understand the work environment, is I honestly believe that things will only change, businesses will only change, cultures will only change, the way that we work will only change when women start stepping up and start to affect and influence that change. When we get together, when we empower ourselves, when we start changing, everything is going to change. And I think that the world really needs that right now.
I really agree with you on that. And I think, I mean, we talked before and I want to ask you about this, but I think one of the things that really resonated with me listening and watching, because I love your posts and your feeds, I was drawn to your magnetic confidence. It's not that I do want empowerment as a woman, but it's not that I want the same as a man. I want equal but not the same. Tell me about that. Because you articulate it much better than me, and when we were talking about it I thought, yes, that's what I'm trying to say, but explain to me about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is my philosophy, is equal, not the same. And that applies to many different minority groups, or whatever it is. I believe that we are equal, i.e. we need to have equal opportunities, equal pay, equal respect, equally like appreciated for what we bring to the table, for our differences, but we're not the same. We have different lived experiences. We have different DNA. We have different cultural backgrounds and upbringings. We are fundamentally different. And I don't want to be treated exactly the same as all the men at the table, because I'm not. I'm a woman and I have a completely different. And I think when we don't look at it that way, when we're like, nope, we're all exactly the same, we're actually missing out on the diversity that comes to the table when we embrace our differences.
My understanding is that we intrinsically, men and women, think and approach things in an entirely different fashion. So actually, that's great. You know, the things that influence you make you have different ideas and new ideas and think about things that other people might not. You talk about women getting in their own way. Is that always the case? Is it, if you believe it, it's true? Or is it the fact that sometimes society or situation, obviously that impacts it, but how can you get out of your own way? What are sort of the key steps steps you can take to do that?
So the first part of that question is, yes, of course, I'm not at all saying it's our like fault, and we you know, it's like that there's not actual, you know, like negative bias or cultural things within businesses that make it more difficult for women to stand out or to step up. Like that exists, like 100% that exists, and people are trying to do things about it. And that is like it's there and it's real. I've experienced it myself, and I know you probably have too.
Yes.
So we've experienced the stereotypes, we've experienced the bias, yes. But my take is as an individual, there's only so much that you can do about the larger system. And so we need to take control of what we can control. And that is how we show up. So first of all, it's recognizing where we do almost have negative bias about ourselves, you know, like the things
that is definitely a female trait. That is definitely a trait of women.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not of men. I just see it more commonly in women.
Exactly. And also this feeling like, you know, we're very familiar with the good girl syndrome. Like we've grown up trying to be nice and being good. And we taught like as girls to be good and to apologize when we're not actually sorry, and to, you know, share and to play nicely and all of those things, which leaves a legacy inside of us of being a good girl. But then we also have the message of this new message of society where, no, you're an independent woman and you get to do it all. And so this is where I actually think we get in our own way, where we've misunderstood that. And being an independent woman, we see it as like, yes, but actually to me, it's just a version of the good girl syndrome. It's like, don't ask for help because you don't want to be an inconvenience. You need to do it all by yourself. Like, why? No man who has did it by himself. Like, why do we think we need to do everything ourselves? So this is how I think we get in our own way sometimes.
I do think saying no, or I feel like there's so often in my life where a ball is dropping because I'm trying to be mother, leader, farmer, BD, glamorous, and mostly I'm knackered.
And that's exactly what I mean. Like by this, like, you know, I remember once running a session and a woman literally said, like, I wake up in the morning, I think about the 6 roles that I have in my life, and I have to actively decide which one am I going to suck at today. Like, you know, and it shouldn't be that way. And I think it's because we have there's such a high expectation of what we're supposed to be doing. And this is that dangerous word, like what we're supposed to be doing. We have comparatitis. We look at other people. It looks like they've got their shit together. We don't actually have opportunities to really talk about these issues. You know, part of my program in Face Forward, part of the success of it, of course, there's all the stuff that you learn within the program, is it being this safe space where women come together who have achieved so much in their careers. They come in a little bit kind of like, oh, do I really belong here? These women are so amazing. And then they start having these conversations where they're like, oh, okay, so we're all struggling.
Everyone's feeling it.
Yeah.
This is what compelled me genuinely to want to do this, because I thought I have so many of my friends and so many conversations I have, and some of them work and some don't. Some stay at home with the kids, and that brings different challenges. And not all my friends have children, but the common denominator is that all of us have this sense of like, wow, Jodi's clearly smashing it in life, and I'm shit because I can't rock red lipstick and feel like I'm, you know, it's sort of like, it's that comparison continually. It's
something, again, we spoke, just bringing it back to the differences. This isn't all men or women. I always like I'm not saying that, but we are fundamentally different. There's a role that testosterone plays in the body, and there's a role that estrogen, and not just estrogen for women, it's oxytocin. So we have oxytocin in our systems. Men produce oxytocin, lasts in their body for like a day or so. For us, once you produce some oxytocin, it's there for like 2 weeks. And oxytocin is the thing that's about connection, empathy, bonding. It's the bonding hormone. We're designed to bond. We're designed to be together and to support one another and to nurture not just children, but each other. And the whole community is like our thing, right? That's what oxytocin does, and it makes us really capable of understanding and seeing and supporting and bonding. You know, testosterone, which we all have, but we produce in different levels. Men have it more of the time and higher levels, is about being single focused and independent and hunting and getting shit done. So fine. But if we're operating from that place all the time, when we're on our own, feeling like we need to do, No wonder we get so burnt out. Our bodies aren't designed to be holding all of that and doing all of that all of the time. But I think that what's happened is because businesses have been created by men for men, I mean, only in the last 50 years that women really have been working as much. We're coming into an environment that, and I don't mean it in a negative way. It just was.
No, we're not saying going all men, kick all the men out. That's not the point.
No. And also, I'm not saying like, oh, men created businesses like in a bad way. It's just that's how it was. Like men created the companies, men worked at the companies. And in the last 50 years, we're like, we're going to come to work too. But we're going into an environment that was created from a very different energy and wondering why we're getting burnt out. And then we're not like talking about it. This is why I say when we empower ourselves, have these conversations, work together, when we can step up, that's when we're going to start to see a cultural change. But it's not going to happen if we try to succeed by being just like the men at the table. And I mentioned this when we spoke last, like there's women are 60% more likely to leave a company to look for advancement in their career than to look for it from within. 60% more likely than men are. So companies don't want to lose their amazing talent. And whilst there's, as I said, a lot of structural things that need to change, that's something else. Like the fact that you're leaving to have conversations because you don't feel like you can have them where you are. Like this is something that needs to change. So what I do, there's a few ways of working with me, but I'll go into a company and I have my signature program. It's called Face Forward. And it is a very holistic sort of leadership. I use leadership like this because it's so much more than that. It's about leading yourself and finding out what you need and what success looks like for you. Really being able to talk about this work-life balance that is so different for women who are still responsible for so much of the unpaid labor at home. So it looks different for us. So how do we balance that? What does that actually mean for us? And then it's about, okay, now how can I stand out? How can I be truly assertive in my communication style, build my confidence, overcome that imposter syndrome? So we look at very tangible, like leadership skills, like delegating, saying no, having difficult conversations, and presenting and all of the things. But we also do the inside work of overcoming that confidence. And I also have an open version so people can book themselves on. So if their company is not providing it, you can book onto the open program as well. Conversation around perimenopause, menopause is a much bigger conversation today, but we still haven't spoken about the fact that for a lot of women, every month there's a freaking like roller coaster. And there's a lot of women who aren't even aware of how it's affecting themselves. Like this hormone change, one day you're really anxious and you don't know why. Like the next day you have like tons of energy. Like it affects the way that we are showing up, and we can't talk about it. Like you don't go into work and be like, oh, I'm actually having like, and then it gets shamed.
I'm on my period and I'm having anxiety sweats.
Yeah, but then it also gets shamed, because we have this time, oh, are you on your period? Oh, is that why you're acting like a crazy person, right? Yes. So actually everything about everything about being a woman really, like it's kind of shamed in a way. So we think we need to come into the workplace and not show emotion, not talk about those things because it's been shamed in so many little ways, but actually no, it actually is a real thing. Some women, it causes pain. Some women, it causes headaches. This doesn't mean we're not capable of our work. It just means that if we had created the work environment, we probably would never have created business to be like 9 to 5 days a week, always exactly the same. This is what I mean by businesses are created by men for men, right? We're much more cyclical. We would have created a work environment that was far more flexible from the beginning.
Yeah. But things like flooding in your period. So actually you're not even comfortable in your own skin because you're worried that you're going to bleed. And literally things like that. You've got meetings back to back and you're thinking, I have got to go to the toilet, and not just because I need a wee. I need to sort myself out. Yeah. And who are you going to say that to? Yeah, like, oh, can you watch me walk from behind? Is everything okay? Yes, watch me walk from behind. That is a real thing. I challenge, if any woman who is watching this has not said that to somebody in their life, I would be gobsmacked, because we've all done it, haven't they? Or it's like, oh my God, I think I've gone on my period and I've got on cream trousers. Yeah. Check. It's a thing. Well, look, thank you so much. I'm hoping you're going to let me invite you back to do another interview. I would love it. I'm going to put a link below or above, whichever format, because it's going to go out on multi-platforms, for a link for Face Forward, and obviously a link to your profile. Follow this lady on LinkedIn, because I'm telling you, I absolutely love it. And it really makes me smile, because I always think, yes, like you post stuff and I'm like, yeah, I want to do more of that. Thank you for your time.
You're
I
so
just
welcome.
love it.
I love chatting to you. I love that you're doing this. I think it's such important conversations to be had, and I'm so happy to be a part of it. So we'll come back anytime.